Now we want to set up our accessory disclosure button on our table view so that when we tap that button, we're going to be able to display our tasks information in the Detail View Controller. So we're going to start setting up our Detail View Controller. So I've navigated to the cc DetailViewController.h file. And the first thing I'm going to do is import my task. So this is going to allow me to create a property of task in my header file here. And why am I going to do this? Well, I'm going to do this because when I create the instance of the CC Detail View Controller and prepare for Segue, I'm going to be able to pass in the current task object or the object that the user selected for that specific row in my table view, pass that task information over to my CC Detail View Controller so that I'm going to be able to display this information. So let's go to cc detail task view controller.m, and in the viewDidLoad method, let's set up our UI view elements. So we're going to say self.titleLabel.text is equal to self.task.title. And we can also set up our detail label. So we're going to say self.detailLabel.text. We're going to say that's equal to self.task.description. And finally, let's set up our dates. So we're going to have to convert our NSDate to a string. So we're going to create an NSDate formatter. And we're going to say formatter. It's going to be the variable name here. We're going to say NSDate formatter alloc init. And we're going to set up a date format. So we're going to say formatter set date format. And let's do YYY for years. And we can do MMDD. And now using our formatter, we're going to be able to convert our NSDate object into a string. So we're going to be able to set the string value here. We're going to say string from date, and we're going to be able to say formatter string from date, and we're going to be able to use our date. So we're going to say task self.task.date. So now we can update our date label. So we're going to be able to say self.datelabel.text is equal to string from date. So now we need to go back to our viewController.m file, and we're going to have to implement another table view delegate. So make sure you're in the pragmark UI table view delegate, and at the bottom here, let's go ahead and implement the method for the accessory button pressed. So we're going to go ahead and implement the method table view, and we're going to look for the method name accessory button tap for row with index path. So go ahead and use the autocomplete. And now that we have this method, we're going to be able to perform a segue when the user taps the accessory buttons. So let's add our segue, and we're going to be able to say self perform segue with identifier, and our identifier is to detail task view controller segue, and the sender is going to be the index path. And now we need to go implement some code in the prepare for segue method. So let's go find the method prepare for segue. It should be near the top of your list here. And we're going to add an else if statement in here. We're going to say else if segue dot destination view controller is kind of class. And oh wait, we can't test what class it is because we haven't imported the CC Detail View Controller. Now CC Detail View Controller later is going to be able to pass a message back, specifically when we're going to use a callback or a delegate. So we should import in our header file. So let's go back to the ccViewController.h file, and let's import cc detail task view controller.h here. And now in the ccViewController.m file, we can test to make sure that our Segway's destination view controller is the proper class. So we're going to say cc detail task view controller class. And let's add some curly braces. And the first thing we're going to do is create a pointer to our Segway's destination view controller. So we're going to say cc detail task view controller, and we're going to say detail task view controller is equal to segue.destination view controller. Next, we want to access the index path that we passed in as the sender. So we can set that equal to sender. And with that, we're going to be able to access our CC task. So we're going to be able to say CC task is equal to, task object is equal to self.taskObjects. And let's use our literal syntax to index into our array. So we're going to say path.row, which is the specific cell that our user selected, and it will tell us which task was associated with that cell. We're going to be able to access that from our tasks array and set it equal to the variable name task object. So now we can say detail task view controller.task is equal to our task object. And when we present this new view controller, it will have the property task, and in view did load, it'll be able to update all of its view objects based on that task object. So now we can go ahead and run our application to make sure this works properly. And we see that we can press the detail disclosure button, and we see task 1, we see the date, and we see its description. So we can also test 3 here. If we click here, we're able to change the priority, and we're also able to display this information here as well.